life that they were going to lose Arsenal in the European Cup Winners' Cup final,
right,
but they didn't,
Parma,
because the teams don't. These foreign teams don't like players getting at you all the time.
Different conditions.
Not giving you I don't think that matters. I think the way
Can we turn to the question of Sheridan? How would you subscribe to the view that Sheridan has never really done it on the big occasion?
Well, he hasn't had many opportunities to do it.
Well, in the cup finals that he's played.
Well, he played reasonably well. I mean, in the Sheffield Wednesday Arsenal matches, it was so tactically complicated. Nobody played well. Nobody had time to play.
But John, it's difficult to play against Arsenal at any stage.
That's what I said, but the particular cup finals are part
of it. But he scored a winning goal. How can you say that?
Yeah. So it's an unfair allegation to make against him, is it?
I think he's deserved his place.
Oh yeah.
If you look in the last 4 matches, he's been our outstanding midfield player.
Yeah. He's played his way into the team.
Yeah, he's deserved it.
I was a bit worried during the week. I saw in the papers, there's only paper reports that there was a doubt about Sheridan playing in the match, and I'm delighted.
That worried you, did it?
It did, yeah, because I think it would show a lack of belief in him.
The kind of pace that you might require in other situations, you're saying he won't necessarily require in Giants Stadium?
I think if the game is slowed down, as we expect it to do under conditions, John Sheridan will certainly benefit from that.
John, you're not expecting John Sheridan to be the one to get from there up to there. You're hoping that Roy Keane and Andy Townsend and to a degree Ray Houghton and Steve Staunton will be the ones that will get forward. He'll just want John Sheridan to sit there and be the passer.
That's where the system has worked, Paddy. Yeah. Because he's the one that can pass it better than anybody else.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why I'd like to see him in the team, because he is the best passer.
I must say I was delighted that Roy Keane's fit, and I hope he is fit, and I hope it's not some of these things that we're going to take a chance on him, because he's such such an ever-present player.
I don't think Jack could do that. I think it's happened before. Happened against Spain. 2 players come off in the first half, and that was it. I don't think he's vowed never to take a chance. If there's any doubt about it, he'd rather not use it.
Before we change the focus for a second, what about the question of heat? I've read something to the effect it could be 120 degrees in Giants Stadium. Now, what impact is that going to have?
Well, it definitely does slow it down, because you can't cover the ground as well as you normally cover the ground in conditions that you're accustomed to, and it does slow you down, because it gets extremely hot in those conditions, which is an obvious statement, but you can't run around like you can do. You don't have the shot.
But John, I think you've only got to look at Kevin. I see Kevin at least once a week, because he lives very near Manchester, and you look at under there, there's nothing there at all, is there?
No.
All right, lads, we're going to leave the Irish team there for a second now and turn more globally to what we can expect from the World Cup. And what's your view? I'd like to establish your view before we see the first match about the changes in the rules. Pat?
I don't think the rules. I just think that that FIFA have said to the referees, without telling the players or the managers, you're not going to get away with anything. I'm delighted that they're giving forwards favour in the offside decision rather than defenders, because I think defenders have been getting away with murder for years, because every time there's been any decision, the defenders always got it.
I can see Frank smiling.
Did you agree with that? We've got no defenders on the panel at the moment, so it's great. And Joe's not here, so it's tremendous. We can talk about it without any argument. But I agree with it. I agree with Paddy that I just wonder what the reasons are for it. Obviously, to get more goals.
Yeah.
And also,
but is that kind of changing the whole weighting of the game in a sense? Is it
well, I suppose,
the balance of the game?
To a point, I think the Americans wanted to change the goals and everything.
I think what's important about that, Bill, is that the FIFA officials have made the rule change, and they haven't consulted any of the professionals in the game, which is wrong. I mean, mostly FIFA people are people who have never played, are being involved professionally in football. And the likes, Jack was complaining during the week, he was never consulted about it, and certainly none of the other coaches or managers that we know about have been consulted about it. They should have been consulted before the referee.
I don't think there's been a change of rule. I don't think they've actually changed the rule. What they've said probably to referees, as we can gather, they've just said, well,
the interpretation
is different. A little bit
well, let's have a few examples now of interpretations that might be subject to, say, players being sent off. The tackle from behind, John. Well, we've extracted. In fact, I'm told, first of all, we're going to look at the offside rule, and we're looking at a very famous example here, John.
Well, I think a change in the offside rule is great. I think this was a price that Ireland paid, John Aldridge paid against Spain, which I think in the new conditions would have been onside. I thought he was onside at the time.
John, in old conditions, that's a goal. It doesn't have to be the new conditions. That's a goal in old conditions.
Yeah, but the balance of the referee's decision will favour the attacker.
There was a rule change a couple of years ago, Bill, that said that the player, if he was level with the defender, would be given the advantage. Now, I've watched a lot of games in England, Paddy has, Frank. I have never seen that rule applied in favour of the forward. And I think there's far too much offsides in football.
John, do you not think...
OK, hang on a second. Let's go to the tackles now, and the interpretation might be made on the tackles. There's an example of a tackle on Niall Quinn. Now, would this be a red card situation, Frank?
No,
Look at this now.
definitely not.
It definitely won't, but I think it will be in America.
That's it. That's
I- I-
the
No,
I'm
Paddy, I
asking.
don't see. You can never give a red card. If someone kicked you, the most you get is a yellow card there. Look at where he is in terms of the goal. He can't score the goal from there. All right, the guy's going to kick him. It's a yellow card.
I don't agree, but I think you should go for that.
I must.
No,
I think we must.
There's another example coming up now. Again, that's a legitimate tackle, but will the Barrels go to the attack?
No, I think to be fair here, Bill, as you know, before the match, we didn't have a great chance to pull out clips of tackles that would be typical of where the players are going to get into trouble. They're not. Those two tackles are not typical of what we can see. I think the tackle that will get the players into trouble is a direct tackle from behind going through the play.
All right, lads, I'm going to have to leave it there. Sorry about that, Pat. We'll have more talk later. Let's go now, as the scene is set for World Cup USA, to George Hamilton in Soldier Field in Chicago.